Alright, parents, go ahead and tuck the kids in. PG time is over.
New and exciting.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Everything Paranormal Podcast Show 2021, Episode 11. Holy crap. We're really kicking it in.
Yeah.
I'm your host, with the most, with everything else behind my belt, Paramike, and in the deep, dark side dungeon of the news world. And movies, well, she will tear it apart by kicking you your nuts or your tits. And she'll give a 5-star rating if she feels like it. She is the beautiful gothic queen of my heart.
I'm Paralore.
That's right.
Natural witch.
That's right. We have some more stories to go through.
We got a plethora of...
Yes. Last night I was trying to upload episode 10 to our YouTube channel, but one of the servers that I use through them for free dropped last night. So I'm trying to do it again. So I'll be bouncing between my laptop where the video is going up and try to do stories as well. I just have to make sure that I don't screw myself.
Well, after we do...
But I do have a tendency of doing that anyways.
And, well, with my stories that I got for today, as well as yours,
yeah,
doing a little reminder, doing a little education when it comes to the Child's Play Chucky franchise.
Uh-oh.
Just to prove how pissed off it's making me, how people are trying to say, oh, it's an inspiration of Robert the Doll, which is not! Robert the Doll is made of plaster and fucking straw. And no one knew about it.
You look like he was made out of a potato sack. Sorry.
So, I'm going to start with a couple of my news stories here, for dark news here. Which, this article I got from MSN on their lifestyle side, entitled, Ringing Doorbells are being recalled for this frightening reason. I don't know if anybody still has doorbells anymore. People just use a goddamn car horn. So get it out. Okay, let's see. The frightening reason why ringing doorbells are being recalled. Technology has made protecting your home a lot easier these days. I don't know about all that. With alarm systems and video doorbells that sync with your smartphone, has to be an Amazon thing, allowing you to constantly monitor your house when you're not there. But it turns out the one thing you're using to keep your home safe from intruders could be posing a different danger itself. Some hugely popular ringing doorbells are being recalled after multiple reports that they can catch on fire.
Really now? No wonder I hate ours.
Well, let's see. According to United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, CPSC, Ring LLC has received 85 incident reports of incorrect doorbell screws being installed with their video doorbells, which have resulted in 23 Ring doorbells igniting, causing both minor property damage and 8 reports on minor burns to users.
Ouch.
As a result, which is the result why some ringing doorbells are being recalled, the amount of how many be recalled is holy shit. 350,000 of its second generation video doorbells in the US, and an additional 8,700 units sold in Canada. The recall specifically affects the second generation Ring doorbells, with the model number 5UM5E5. That makes no sense for a model number. Sold from June 2020 through October 2020. So this was in a span of several months this year. Consumers can check to see if they're...
5 months, to be exact.
Yeah. Consumers can check to see if their doorbell is affected by the recall by entering the serial number on Ring's website,
which is ring.com. It's those doorbells that people have right now that have like video and everything. If you're not home and you're not expecting anybody to show up, you can fuck with them right through the camera.
The company simply says that consumers with affected Ring doorbells should immediately stop installing the recalled video doorbells and contact Ring for revised installation instructions. That sounds asinine. Adding that if the doorbell is installed correctly, there is no risk to consumers or potential hazard present. Oh, I could see this company's trying to cover their own ass.
That, or when people order that unit and try to install it themselves, like professionally, they're stupid. That's probably why they're being recalled. Because idiots out there don't know how to do it.
Well, there's either that or the instructions are like Japanese writing.
Yeah.
And hard to fucking follow.
Yeah, I would.
Which every fucking technology company out there, they usually have people to go install the shit, not tell the buyer of the product, oh, you have to install it yourself.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a company I would want to go for.
No.
If I want any video cameras installed into our home, which is our apartment, or here in the studio, I go with Comcast.
Hold on, it gets better. In the company's updated instructions, Ring provides a visible warning related to the issue with the screws. What the fuck does the screws have to do with the fucking doorbells catching fire?
Were the screws made wrong, maybe?
It warns users not to use any screw other than the included short security screws.
Ah, that makes more sense now why they're catching on fire.
When securing their doorbell to its bracket, if you don't use these specific screws, Ring warns customers that they could damage the battery during installation, create a fire hazard, and be seriously injured.
That would explain it.
Ring doorbells are not the only thing you need to be worried about in your home, however. Whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean, huh? For more recent recalls that may affect you, read on it for a toxic product that could be lurking in your bathroom.
Wait a sec. Hold up.
Now, this is not making sense.
The doorbell goes on the front of your house next to your door. Your front door.
Yeah, I know.
How the hell can the front door reach the bathroom? It's impossible.
No. I think this freaking lifestyle MSN, like, combined two different fucking stories.
Oh my god.
Basically has the Ring doorbell thing first, then if you want to know other shit that could be wrong in your house, go to the next one. Fucking retards.
Seriously.
Know how to fucking do a goddamn story.
Jesus Christ.
And let's see. Oh, this might interest some people here.
Uh-oh.
Let's see.
Is it a tidbit or a nugget?
Hang on, I don't know.
Oh.
Okay, now that it's uploaded here, this I actually found on the Google News stuff. Called Scientific Mirror. Simply, basically, what you saw from the same thing.
Yeah.
From the news story you found last night.
Yeah, but scientific mirror? Wow. This should be interesting.
Experts revealed the mystery of a lost World War II submarine and its 80 vanished crew members.
Whoa.
Let's see.
Well, there's something you don't hear about.
No, you don't.
Normally it's cruise ships or regular little boats that disappear in the Bermuda Triangle.
My fucking laptop is acting fucking stupid now.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm trying to get it just right where I can read the fucking thing, and it's...
Hang on, let me come over to your side.
Every time I get it just there, it damn thing shoots back. Okay. Anyways.
Most sites are like that. I've gone through that so many times to where you sent me stories, and I can't figure the damn thing out.
Anyway, it says it's June 2019, so it's like a year ago. And Tim Taylor and his team are looking for a U.S. submarine that disappeared in mysterious and tragic circumstances. They're basically using a remotely controlled underwater vehicle to help in the search. But as the machine travels through the depths, it frustratingly develops a fault. So Taylor brings the craft back to the surface and takes a glimpse at the data that it's recorded. Then he spots two strange inconsistencies that prompt him to send down yet another probe. And with the technology finally unearthed is enough to make the hairs on your arm stand on it. Okay.
Really? And normally people with machines like that normally test them before they put them in the water.
Oh, hang on.
Did we screw up, gentlemen?
The sub that the researchers and technicians... Can you stop fucking going stupid? Thank you. The sub that the researchers and technicians were searching for was the USS Greyback, or SS-208, as it was less lyrically known, and this salvage operation was carried out on behalf of the Lost 52 Project, which is dedicated to locating the 52 U.S. submarines that disappeared in World War II. The U.S. Navy had previously posted the Greyback as missing in late March 1944. Let's see.
That's interesting.
On January 28th, 1944, the Greyback embarked on a combat patrol from Pearl Harbor. It was her 10th such mission, and as it happens, it would be her final one. Well, no shit! Before disappearing beneath the waves, though, the sub sent a message back to base on February 24th, reporting that she'd sunk the Japanese freighters Toshin Maru and Tiki Maru and hit 2 others. Hopefully I said that right, because I can tell by looking at them, they're Japanese names.
Right.
If I butchered it, sorry.
Words are hard.
The sub made another report on February 25th, with her crew relating that the craft had done serious damage to the liner Asama Maru, which the Japanese had pressed into military service as a troop carrier, and sunk the tanker Nampu Maru. And since these attacks over 2 days had left the Greyback with just 2 torpedoes, she therefore had to set sail to Midway Atoll in the North Pacific for a resupply.
Interesting. Though it's surprising that those things can actually transmit back.
Yeah. That February 25th radio message was the last that anyone heard from the Greyback, however. And while Navy commanders had anticipated that the submarine would subsequently dock at Midway Atoll on around March 7, 1944, there was no sign of her on that date. Even more alarmingly, the Greyback still hadn't appeared 3 weeks later. So the authorities had no choice but to declare her and her crew of 80 as lost at sea, which they subsequently did on March 30th. That does not surprise me when it comes to freaking that type of bullshit. That doesn't that doesn't surprise me when it comes to fucking politics. It was an unspeakable tragedy. Well, no shit. Dozens of men had seemingly perished, leaving their devastated loved ones looking for answers. I sure as fuck would want answers.
Yeah.
But there was no trace either of the submarine that had proved to be a huge asset to the U.S. Navy. The craft had begun life on... That makes no fucking sense. The craft had begun life on April 3rd, 1940. How about the damn thing was made in 1940, when shipbuilders laid her keel down at Groton, Connecticut's electric boat company. Well, I think that's probably why. I don't know if my oldest son fucking works somewhere in Connecticut, but lives in a state away from it. The project was in good hands, too. Yeah, sure.
I don't think so.
As the skilled electric boat company workers had been building submarines since 1899. Okay, then why the fuck did she disappear then? The initial example that the business had constructed had in fact been the U.S. Navy's very first submarine, the USS Holland, which had been commissioned in 1900, and at the time of World War I. Electric Boat Company and Associated Shipyards built 85 submarines, among other crafts, for both the U.S. Navy and the British Royal Navy. Well, that would explain why the British are allies. And probably why I like Robert Irvine. If you don't know who that is, turn on the fucking Food Network. You'll find out who Robert Irvine is. Then, during World War II, Electric Boat created another 74 submarines. including the Greyback. She was a Tamber-class vessel, of which 12 were built. 7 examples were then destroyed during the war. In Tamber, submarines were ultimately taken out of combat service in 1945. The Greyback, of course, was one of those subs that never made it to the end of the conflict. No shit! It fucking sank! God fucking damn it.
It decided to take its own dive, dive, dive! Nice sound effects.
Hang on. When the Greyback was finally completed, however, she was a little over 300 feet from stem to stern and displayed 2,410 tons when submerged. At her widest point, she measured just over 27 feet, while her maximum surface speed was around 20 knots. Underwater, she could travel at just under 9 knots. At a lower speed, the sub could also stay submerged for up to 48 hours. And her range was nearly over 12,500 miles.
That's
Then why the fuck did she sink?
That's a long distance.
No shit. Furthermore, the Greyback's 2 propellers were driven by 4 electronic motors. Well, no shit. Was it supposed to be a fucking rowboat? With these in turn charged by a quartet of diesel engines, that could be the other reason, and her official crew strength was 54 enlisted men and 6 officers. Although, as we've already found out, she had 80 men aboard when she disappeared in 1944. Okay, 54 plus 6. What do you
60.
get? Huh?
I get 60.
Then how the fuck was there a little over 20 more on the goddamn thing?
That's a good question.
And people think I didn't pay attention to history. Some things I fell asleep to. And it always depended on the goddamn teacher.
And 99.8% of the time, history is wrong!
The Greyback was well equipped too. Well, let's find out how well equipped it was. With 10 21-inch torpedo tubes. Then I'm not talking the sub torpedoes. Well, think people when they hear torpedoes, they're gonna think freaking grinders.
No, those are hoagies.
Yeah, in some states they're called hoagies or torpedoes.
Oh, that's right too. I forgot about
But
that.
not talking the grinder torpedo size. Talking the actual torpedoes that you shoot out of something.
Not in your pants.
Not that either. With 10 21-inch torpedo tubes, 6 set towards the bow and 4 at the stern. Further armament came in the form of a 50 caliber machine gun and Bofors 40 millimeter and Oerlikon 20 millimeter cannons, all of which were mounted on the deck. These weapons were intended as defense against assault from the air, although they could also be used in attacks on enemy shipping when the sub was surfaced. Give me a second here. Trying to get to the next page, and then there we go. Then, some 10 months after the Electric Boat Company had started her construction, the Greyback was launched on January 31st, 1941, by Rear Admiral Wilson Brown's wife. The submarine was subsequently commissioned in the U.S. Navy on June 30th. Only 5 months or so before, America became embroiled in World War II. After her commissioning, the Greyback embarked on her shakedown cruise under the command of Lieutenant Willard A. Saunders on Long Island Sound. This, naturally, was an opportunity to test out the submarine's systems and to allow the crew to familiarize themselves with the vessel. And with the sub standing up to the task, she had finally went on patrol in Chesapeake Bay and the Caribbean, or Caribbean, however you want to call it, in September 1941. Then, after further maintenance at Portsmouth Naval Shipyard on the Maine coast, the Greyback headed for Pearl Harbor in February 1942. As the U.S. was decidedly now a part of the conflict, and things were about to get serious for the boat and her crew. On February 15th, you see the submarine set off on her first wartime patrol. She sailed into the Pacific and cruised along the coast of the island of Guam, which Japan had attacked in December 1941. The Greyback also traveled in proximity, take a drink, just stumbled, to the coast of Spain, Japan, or C-SPAN, however you want to call it, which at the time was similarly, take a drink, just stumbled. Similarly, Japanese territory. Fucking sight, stop flipping! Anyway. And during this patrol, which lasted 3 weeks, the boat spent 4 days in a cat and mouse game with a Japanese submarine. The skirmish, saw the enemy unleash 2 torpedoes at the Greyback. And while she emerged unscathed from this assault, she was unable to maneuver into position to return fire. Sorry, people, the goddamn other advertisements on this goddamn thing's like fucking up my damn mouse. After escaping the attentions of the Japanese sub, though, Greyback succeeded in sinking her first ship, a cargo vessel of 3,291 tons. By contrast, the Greyback's second patrol, fucking sight, stop flipping.
Your mouse battery might be dying. Let me see your mouse.
Here. It's not the mouse, it's the goddamn sight. Anyway, by contrast, the Greyback's second patrol was a relatively uneventful affair that ended when she docked at Fremantle. This Western Australian port would be your base for most of the rest of her time in service. Sorry folks. Hopefully this doesn't keep flipping. Hang on. Let's see. Yeah, this damn thing is not working.
With the mouse?
That or the fucking site just went shit on me. Because I just read this and it's not going to the next page.
That's the next page right there.
There we go. Hang on. Okay, there we go. The Greybacks next to patrols in the South China Sea. It's still doing it.
Go to our next story.
Were bladed by Axis patrol boats. Moonlit nights and seas that were difficult to navigate. Nevertheless, she managed to hit an enemy sub and some merchant ships during these spells in the ocean. With her 5th tour of duty began on December 7th, 1942, when she set off from Australia. On Christmas Day, 1942, the Greyback surfaced, catching 4 landing barges unawares and proceeding to sink them all. Then 4 days later, an enemy sub fired torpedoes at the American craft, although the Greyback's crew took successful evasive action. The start of 1943 was similarly eventful, as the U.S. sub attacked the Imperial Japanese Navy vessel I-18. And while the I-18 ultimately escaped undamaged this time around, the destroyer USS Fletcher sank the Japanese boat with depth charges the following month. All her 102 crewmen perished as a consequence. Well, that's what happens when you go to war. During this 5th tour, moreover, the Greyback carried out a daring rescue mission. 6 Americans who had been aboard a wrecked Martin B-26 Marauder bomber were stranded at Munda Bay on the Samoan Islands. Not Samoans, Somalian Islands. Take a drink and stumble twice. 2 of the submarine's men, therefore, went ashore after dark and found the airmen, while the Greyback went on to dive at dawn in order to escape the attentions of Japanese planes. Then, the following night, the 2 submariners successfully carried the 6 survivors back to the Greyback. The boat's captain, Commander Edward C. Stephen, who had succeeded Saunders in September 1942, won the Navy Cross for this action, along with the U.S. Army Silver Star. Continuing on our mission, the submarine later torpedoed several Japanese craft, although she was ultimately damaged herself by depth charges dropped from an an enemy destroyer.
That would suck.
Huh?
Said that would suck.
The weapons had damaged the hatch on the Greyback's hull and resulted in leakage, forced her to return to port in Brisbane, Australia. And unfortunately, the submarine's next patrol in February 1943 saw no successful attacks, owing in part to a newly fitted but malfunctioning radar. In any case, the Greyback managed to survive to her 7th tour, which began from Brisbane on April 25th, 1943. On this cruise, I wouldn't call it a cruise, the Greyback came across a Japanese convoy and hit the merchant ship Yutagawa Maru. Let me start that again. I didn't stumble, but this damn site's pissing me off. Merchant ship. Yeah. On this cruise, the Greyback came across a Japanese convoy and hit the merchant ship Yutagawa Maru with 2 torpedoes, sinking her. Then, a few days later, the U.S. vessel torpedoed an enemy destroyer, causing extensive damage. Nor was that the last of the American victories. The following day, the Greyback sank yet another cargo ship, the England Maru, and hit 2 more. Following these triumphs, then, it was time to sail back to Pearl Harbor and on to San Francisco, California for a refit. The fuck's a refit? You know what a refit is?
A refit is like a pair of clothes.
Ah.
If you can't fit it anymore, you take it to a tailor to refit it.
Oh, okay.
In other words, it resizes something so you could fit into it.
Ah.
Or for a submarine, it's to re-engineer something that was already there but got damaged.
Yeah, okay. On September 12th, 1943, the Greyback was back at Pearl Harbor and ready for another Pacific mission. Her 8th of the war, with Commander John Anderson Moore now in charge of the boat. I wouldn't call it a boat. I would say now in charge of the submarine. And so 2 weeks after returning to Pearl Harbor, the submarine set off for Midway Atoll alongside the USS Shad. Anyways, at Midway Atoll, the Greyback and the Shad were joined by the USS Kiro, with the 3 vessels constituting what was known as a wolf pack. This approach of combining submarines as joint attack forces had proved highly successful when used by German U-boats. Although it was the first time the U.S. Navy had tried the tactic. Come on, go to the next page. Thank you.
Tactics.
The
Nobody
next,
knows what tactics are anymore.
Huh?
Nobody knows what tactics are anymore.
No. The new strategum proved to be effective, however. Between them, the three subs accounted for the sinking of 38,000 tons of Japanese shipping and damage to a further 3,300 tons. That's a whole lot of fucking damage. Having used up all their torpedoes, I think I kind of see where it went down. Or I'm starting to see where it went wrong. Having used up all their torpedoes, the trio then turned back to Midway Atoll, arriving there on November 10th, 1943. And after the success of this mission, Moore became the second of the Greyback skippers to win a Navy Cross. Well, isn't he just lucky? Then, on December 2nd, 1943, the Greyback set off again from Pearl Harbor for the East China Sea. During this ninth patrol, the submarine fired the entirety of her torpedo supply in 5 days of attacks, sinking 4 Japanese ships in the process before returning once again to Pearl Harbor. Commander Moore's exploits on that tour earned him another Navy Cross. Whoopie-doo. It's not explaining why the ship sank. Finally, after stopping off in Pearl Harbor for just over 3 weeks, the Greyback set sail for her 10th, and as it turned out, her last active service mission on January 28th, 1944. And as we learned earlier, her last radio contact with base came on February 25th. After that, nothing more was ever heard from the submarine, leading the Navy to duly declare her lost on March 30th. Let's see. On that final mission, the Greyback had single-handedly sunk a staggering 21,594 tons of Japanese shipping craft. It had been the third such ship she'd sailed on with Moore at the helm, and the commander was posthumously handed a third Navy Cross for his achievements at sea. The Greyback herself was also ultimately rewarded 8 battle stars for her World War II service. Come on, here we go. It would be many decades, though, before anyone found out exactly what had happened to the Greyback and her 80-strong crew. Initially, the U.S. Navy believed that she had sunk beneath the waves at around 100 miles to the southeast of the Japanese island of Okinawa. Yet, as it was later discovered, this assumption was based on data that included a crucial error. Okay. The information that the Navy had relied upon, you see, came from records that it had kept by the Japanese. As it turned out, though, a single digit in a map reference had been wrongly transcribed when the relevant document was being translated. Consequently, the grayback was actually far from the location that had been assumed over the years. Well, see, that's what I always said. If you assume something, it makes you an ass. And it wasn't until 2018 when American Tim Taylor decided to re-examine the case of the grayback's disappearance that the mystery was untangled. Taylor is the founder of the Lost 52 Project, a private enterprise working to find the remains of the 52 submarines that disappeared without trace during the Second World War. Let's see. Okay, and this thing says, we'll come back shortly to the results of Taylor's reinvestigation of the grayback mystery. But first, we'll focus on him and his organization. The Lost 52 Project started after a successful search for the U.S. submarine R-12, which had been lost in 1943, along with 42 of her crew. Also known as the SS-89. The vessel sank during a training exercise off the coast of Florida. Not even going to say it. What there?
Well, I'm looking at the USS Grayback's Discovery.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch from other ones from like news sources. One I was reading, it was from foxnews.com about it.
Okay.
And I just put it in the title, why did the Grayback sink?
Yeah.
Well, the title goes, World War II U.S. submarine wreck discovered 75 years after it sank.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the thing, and she is beautiful, by the way.
Was.
Yeah, was, but from a picture, she looked beautiful. It says, the wreck of World War II submarine, the SS Grayback, has been discovered off of Japan 75 years after its sinking by a Japanese bomber.
Yeah.
The submarine was found on June 5th, no year though,
Okay.
by the Lost 52 Project, which locates lost U.S. World War II submarines. In a statement translated from Japanese, the Lost 52 Project explained that the USS Grayback, also known as the SS-208, like you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
is the first U.S. submarine discovered off the coast of Japan. Japanese records indicates that the sub was sunk by a 500-pound bomb dropped by a naval bomber in February of 1994.
Huh.
The bomb hit aft of the Grayback's conning, C-O-N-N-I-N-G,
Yeah.
tower, and the sub sank with the loss of her 80-strong crew. The exploration team used an undersea drone to locate the Tambor-class sub, which lies at a depth of 1,427 feet, 50 nautical miles south of Okinawa.
Yeah. That's what I just read.
I know. The sub's deck gun was located 384 feet away from
Yeah.
where she sank. And they have a picture of the,
Watery remains.
I would want to say kind of like the faceplate of it
Okay.
that says it.
Which would be the bow, probably.
Doesn't. It's the black.
Ah.
In the statement, Lost 52 Project founder Tim Taylor describes the discovery as absolutely amazing.
Okay.
This guy must have got a boner for this. If he had to say absolutely amazing. Woo! The sub is ranked the 20th most successful U.S. submarine of World War II according to the Lost 52 Project. The USS Grayback was launched on January 31st, 1941.
Yeah.
According to the Naval History and Heritage Command, and quickly earned a fearsome reputation in the Pacific Theater.
Huh.
Whatever the hell that is.
I have no idea.
During 10 war patrols, it sank 14 enemy vessels, including Japanese submarines, totaling 63,835 tons of shipping.
Shit.
That's a heavy thing.
Yeah, that's a heavy bitch.
Yeah. In January of 1943, the sub's crew also rescued 6 drowned U.S. aviators from Muda in the Solomon Islands, for which her commanding officer was awarded the Navy Cross.
Yeah.
That's a lot of sea algae on the ship with nothing left.
Yeah, let me continue here. Launched in 1919, the USS R-12 was something of a veteran, as she had actually been decommissioned from the U.S. Navy in 1932 and assigned to the reserve fleet. With war threatening, however, the Navy brought her back into service in July 1940. The R-12 then sailed to Naval Submarine Base, New London at Groton, Connecticut, where she underwent a comprehensive overhaul. Okay. So, in October 1940, the R-12 was ready for active duty, with her first mission being to patrol the waters around the Panama Canal. A year later, the Navy ordered the submarine to return to New London, from where she cruised along the shores of New England. And after the Pearl Harbor attack in December 1941, the R-12 returned to the Panama Canal, where she spent the following 10 months. After nearly a year in Panama, the R-12 then went on various cruises until May 1943, when she was reassigned as a training submarine based at Key West, Florida. The following month, however, she was sailing on exercise when a forward section of the vessel began to take on water. And in mere seconds, the submarine was overwhelmed, leading her to sink to a depth of 600 feet. Come on, go to the next page. Thank you. As the R-12, hang on here. Anyway, as the R-12 began to plunge below the waves, 5 of her crew, who had been above dock on the conning tower, am I being heard? Because now my microphone kind of went low.
No, you're fine.
Okay. 5 of her crew, who had been above deck on the conning tower, including Skipper Lieutenant Commander E.E. Shelby, were thrown overboard into the sea. They were the only survivors of the catastrophic sinking, as the remaining 42 crew members all lost their lives. The cause of the accident was never fully explained, and the wreck remained undiscovered for nearly 7 decades.
That's a decade too many.
No shit. But in the fall 2010, Taylor and his crew aboard research vessel Tiburon discovered the remains of the R-12 using a high-tech remotely controlled robot. The team also went on to revisit the area on further expeditions, mapping the site and taking images of the wreck. In addition, they made every effort to contact surviving relatives of the submariners who had died in the accident. And it was that successful hunt for the wreck of the R-12 that prompted Taylor to found the Lost 52 Project. The organization takes its name from the fact that 52 submarines were sunk without trace during World War II. These tragedies had an extremely high human cost too, with 3,505 submariners perishing in total. All in all, then the Lost 52 project claims to discover the location of all the U.S. Navy submarines sunk during the war. It's a tall order indeed. But over the past decade, Taylor and his crews have come across 5 submarines whose precise whereabouts were previously unknown. And their mission goes much further than that, too. Okay, this is a little interesting here.
How far is the question?
In particular, Taylor wants to both uncover the fates of these sunken subs for prosperity and, crucially, to give family members of the lost seamen, lost sailors, some closure. And along with locating the craft, Lost 52 works to create comprehensive surveys of the wreckage found, collects artifacts, and makes material available for educational purposes. What's more, the Lost 52 project has discovered 2 other World War II submarines alongside the R-12 and the Greyback. The USS Grunion was found off the coast of Alaska, while the USS S-28 was located in Hawaiian waters. A Cold War era vessel, the USS Stickleback. What? Nope.
What a name.
Was similarly found off Hawaii. Altogether, then, Taylor and his team's efforts have been rewarded by notable successes. Now, we'll get back to Taylor's work on finding the Greyback. On the search for the sub, the ocean explorer got in touch with Japanese researcher Yutaka Iwasaki. That sounds almost like a Japanese sake drink. And asked him to comb through the files of the Sesbo base. that had been used by the Japanese Imperial Navy during World War II. The records there included daily radio updates from Naha on Okinawa Island, which had been the site of a Japanese naval air facility. So, Iwasaki duly got to work, upon which he spotted the crucial single-digit error. This mistake had been made in the transcribed version of a report that had been radioed into Sasebo from Naha on February 27, 1944, just a couple of days after the Greyback had been reported back to base for the last time. And the relevant Japanese message detailed an attack by a Nakajima B-5N bomber that had taken off from an aircraft carrier. Okay. The Nakajima B-5N was a Japanese torpedo bomber in that particular example flying on February 27th. Was apparently discharged a 500-pound bomb onto a submarine traveling above the waves. The report also described how the device had hit the sub just to the rear of the conning tower. Then after that, the vessel had blown up and quickly sank with no apparent survivors. And while speaking to the New York Times in November 2019, Iwasaki described what he had found in the Japanese wartime files. In that radio record, there are a longitude of a latitude of the attack very clearly. That almost kind of makes no sense. He explained.
You mean longitude and latitude?
There are a longitude and a latitude of the attack.
Okay, so basically longitude is how long the distance is.
Okay.
The other one, latitude, is, how many degrees.
Oh.
Which, unfortunately, both of them are like in degrees. Like, we're here in the studio.
Yeah.
And if you did longitude and latitude of our apartment from here, it will give you like 40.138 degrees longitude.
Yeah.
By latitude would be like, say, 22.401 degrees another direction.
That sounds like you're remembering what your uncle in the Navy taught you. As well as Grandpa Chester.
Yeah. Well, that's for almost every service.
Ah.
That even goes for people that does like weather tracking and everything.
Yeah.
They have to do by longitude and latitude every time to figure out, okay, there's a hurricane on the horizon or there's an F5 coming this way. So we have to figure out what the longitude is, what the latitude is, and what direction it's going. Is it coming from like north, northeast, west, around a compass type?
Oh, okay. Astonishingly, though these coordinates marked a location that was more than 100 miles distant from the one the U.S. Navy had assumed to be correct since 1949. Again, never assume, because it makes you a bigger jackass. So, armed with this new accurate information, Taylor felt that there was now a realistic chance of locating the wreck of the Greyback. And amazingly, the Lost 52 project team did indeed find the lost submarine, whose hull was almost entirely in one piece, even after several decades had passed. Yet, this discovery was a cause for mixed emotions among the divers and researchers. And I would say probably mixed energies. Speaking to the New York Times, Taylor recalled the feelings of the Lost 52 team. We were elated. But it's also sobering because we just found 80 men, he said. And of course, there were others for whom this discovery was a momentous event. They were the relatives of the submariners who had lost their lives aboard the Greyback. Come on. One of the people greatly affected by the news that the Greyback's remains had been discovered was Gloria Herney, whose uncle Raymond Parks had served aboard the submarine as an electrician's mate, first class. In November 2019, she told ABC News, "There's a book I read, and it says these ships are known only to God. But now we know where the Greyback is."
Sure they do.
Herney also spoke to CNN that same month, telling reporter the discovery brings closer to the questions that surrounded the Greyback as far as its sinking and location. I believe it will allow healing as relatives of crew members come together to share their stories. Herney added that upon first hearing about the discovery, she had felt shock and also grief. Later on, though, the news had brought peace and comfort. Kathy Taylor is another relative of one of those who lost their lives aboard the Greyback, as John Patrick King, who served as an electrician's mate third class, had been both her uncle and godfather. And while speaking to ABC News, she paid touching tribute to the late veteran, saying, "I committed from the very beginning, from a little girl, that I was going to find him or follow him or keep his memory alive, whatever I could do." But the loss of the Greyback doesn't spell the end of its legacy. That's because a second Greyback submarine with the Navy designation of SSG 574 went into service in July 1957, 14 years after the first craft had sunk. Okay, now that would just piss a whole lot of people off. And fittingly, she was launched by Mrs. Virginia S. Moore, the widow of the original Greyback's final skipper, Commander John A. Moore. The new Greyback was built at California's Mare Island Naval Shipyard, and her cutting-edge technology made her a step up from her illustrious predecessor. For instance, the weaponry on the 50 sub included guided missiles, an innovative not available when the first Greyback was launched in 1941. That's the case. Why the fuck didn't I find it? Okay, I'm starting to see something here.
I just read that too.
The original one sinks.
Right.
And some years later, they create a second one.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody didn't want the family to find out what really fucking happened.
Yeah.
In
Matter of
fact,
I just read that story from Fox News about how it sank
yeah,
and everything, and then I did say 1941.
it was like, yeah, it was about yeah, in between there, yeah.
Yeah. But yet earlier you said that it was launched in 1941.
And sank in 1944.
Right. So something's not adding up here
No.
now.
It's not.
You said it launched in 1941. I read the story from Fox News saying that it sunk in 1941 and everything. And then now,
Yeah.
something's not really adding up.
That's why I always say government, when it comes to military, they try to keep shit under wraps.
No shit.
In fact, the newer craft was the very first vessel to deploy a Regulus 2 sea-to-surface missile. Oh, okay. As the weapons program was canceled not long after the Greyback's launch, though. In practice, she actually carried 4 Regulus 1 missiles that gave her the ability to hit targets on land. And in February 1959, the submarine was based at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Or as most people in Hawaii would say, Hawaii.
Hawaii. The proper pronunciation.
This Greyback started out at a length of 273 feet, although she was later enhanced to 317 feet, and a little over 27 feet across her beam. And as well as being equipped to launch Regulus 1 missiles, capable of carrying nuclear warheads, she possessed 8 conventional torpedo tubes. 2 of these were positioned towards the stern, while the other 6 were at the bow. Sailing from her base at Pearl Harbor, the Greyback made a series of cruises as a deterrent, including through the waters of Alaska and Japan. And in the years up to 1963, the submarine was on almost constant patrol, spending much of the time cruising underwater. Eventually, though, that tough schedule and a negative impact on the Greyback systems. Then, in August 1963, those years of service caught up with the Greyback. In that month, as the sub cruised near the surface to recharge her batteries, she was caught in heavy seas. The sheer force of those strong waves caused a main battery fault, which resulted in a fire breaking out in the crew's sleeping quarters. One submariner lost his life in the incident, while 5 others were injured. However, after a couple of weeks in repair, the Greyback was back on active service. The bladed sub had a life long after that too. That doesn't make sense. Although at first it seemed as though she was surplus to requirements. By 1964, you see a new generation of Polaris missiles and submarines had come online. And so ultimately, the Greyback was decommissioned in May of that year. But she came back into service in August 1968, after having been deployed in the role of amphibious transport submarine, and with the new designation of LPSS-574. Now, her adapted missile silos were able to carry up to 67 people on board. In June 1972, then the Greyback transported a unit of Navy SEALs to the coast of Vietnam. They had been deployed as part of Operation Thunderhead, an attempt to liberate 2 American airmen who were believed to have fled a Viet Cong prisoner of war camp. However, unbeknown to the Navy, the dash to freedom had been aborted. And in the attempt to locate the men, one SEAL, Lieutenant Melvin Spence Dry, lost his life parachuting from a helicopter. More tragedy befell the Greyback in 1982, but she was involved in an accident that ultimately cost the lives of 5 Navy divers. After the men involved had been on a training dive, they subsequently returned to the craft, which had been cruising in Subic Bay near the Philippines island of Luzon. When a crucial ventilation valve failed to operate properly. However, the 5 perished inside a decompression chamber. Not long after this sad event, the Navy finally decommissioned the second Greyback in January 1984. But she still had one last role to play. Strangely, this required the submarine to be decorated in a glaring shade of orange. Sporting her new color scheme, the sub was then towed out to Subic Bay on April 13th, 1986. Oh, that'll be when my brothers turned 1. After being scuttled and used for target practice, and that finally was the end of the Greyback's story. And let's see, is there any more here? Yep, that's the last of that. So there's actually more shit about the second than the first.
Gernsback 2.0.
That may...
It's the only thing I can think of.
Huh?
Only thing I can think of. Gernsback 2.0. Or not Gernsback, Greyback 2.0. Good granny.
But that doesn't explain what really happened to the first Greyback.
Not by much. That's for sure. Not by much.
I mean, I guess the only way you can figure that out is if this guy was able to find the right location where the first Greyback went down. I'd say get a couple of investigators out there and do a fucking what the fuck is it called? EVP session.
Depends on who would jump on it first.
I don't know. Due to the fact when it comes to stuff like that, people, especially government, military officials, are hush-hush.
Yeah, I know.
Even though they know they're going to get shit on by family relatives.
Yeah. Literally. But oh well.
Okay, what are your news stories
let's
for
see.
today?
Well, I
need to take
here,
a quick break. I need to take a smoke break
I have here
before
something.
I get into Child's Play 2.
Oh, okay. I have here something in the science department of News World, which is weird. It says scientists have uncovered the 90,000-year-old hybrid of 2 extinct human species.
As in aliens?
I'm not sure. but it says extinct human species, which is kind of strange. It says the bone came from an ancient girl who was believed to be around 13 years old when she died, approximately 90,000 years ago.
Okay.
Holy crap. This bone fragment, unfortunately, it's a picture that I can see, but you can't. Sorry. Says this bone fragment was found in 2012 at Denisovo Cave in Russia by Russian archaeologists and represented the daughter of a Neanderthal mother and a Denisova or Denisovan father.
Would it be Anastasia?
Don't know. Might be Pocahontas. Who knows? A study published in Nature. I don't know if that's supposed to be a magazine or something, but who knows? On August 22nd, analyzed a piece of bone and discovered that the ancient girl that the fragment belonged to was a never before discovered hybrid, or hybrid, depends on how you say it,
Yeah.
of two ancient human relatives, a Neanderthal and a Denisovan. Sorry, Russian words are not my category. A group of Russians archaeologists originally came across the groundbreaking bone fragment in 2012 inside of the Denisova Cave in Siberia, according to a report released by the study's author. In their analysis, the researchers discovered that the bone belonged to a girl who died around 13 years. Okay, now my thing's doing it. Died around 13 years old, nearly 90,000 years ago. The bone was transferred to a group of researchers at the Max Planck Institute for Elevated. Excuse me. Punch yourselves in the head. I messed up. Evolutionary Anthropology in Leipzig, Germany, or Leibniz, or whatever. Leipzig. They sequenced the genome, sounds like a Linux term here, from the fragment and shockingly discovered that the girl's mother was a Neanderthal. Well, no shit. I think a lot of people like that are Neanderthals right now. And her father was a Denisovan. Yeah, I'm sure. He was probably a Neanderthal too. Neanderthals and Denisovans inhabited... Hold on. My thing just did it again to me. You fucking bastard. I hate when I'm trying to read news and thing goes nutty. Where was I? Oh, inhabited Eurasia for thousands of years until around 40,000 years ago when they were replaced by modern humans. I like to find those people. Oh, wait. They don't exist anymore. That's right. Modern humans have turned into Neanderthals. The Neanderthals primarily occupied the west and the Denisova. Punch yourself in the head. I can't say this word. Denisovans were found in the east. I'm sure they were. They are a relatively new discovery as well. In 2010, a team of researchers discovered unusual hominin DNA. That's not even
Humanoid?
a word. No, it's HOMININ.
Human.
Doesn't make sense. DNA from bone found in the Denisova cave in Siberia, according to National Geographic.
Is that still around anymore?
I have no clue. I have not seen the books around in God knows how long.
Well, I know they got TV station, TV channel now.
Yeah, on cable or DirecTV or whatever you have. They named the newly discovered hominins Denisovan after the cave. Why don't you just name it Russian Canucks? More research into the group showed that they were related to the Neanderthals, splitting off from them almost 400,000 years ago. The two groups are the closest examples of extinction relatives of modern humans. Bullshit.
Yeah.
And were separated from each other more than 390,000 years ago. But just because they were separated doesn't mean they never interacted.
Oh, just like now.
Yeah. We knew from previous studies that the Neanderthals and the Denisovans must have occasionally had children together. If they did it by becoming out like sloths. Vivian Sloan, a researcher at the Max Planck Institute, said in a statement, advertisement popped up, said it in a statement, but I never thought we would be so lucky as to find an actual offspring of the two groups. I wonder what this bitch was expecting. Aliens with big guns? Here, I'm an alien. Come play with me. Downstairs. Why, I probe you. Oh, boy. In their study of the bones genome, the researchers were able to find out more than just who the girl's parents were. Really? Was the father a dinosaur and the mother a rock? Who knows? They discovered that her Neanderthal mother, like every other woman there is, was genetically more closely related to the Neanderthals who hailed, oh, this is a good one, from Western Europe.
Okay.
Compared to the Neanderthals who lived in the cave in Siberia. In addition, they found that her father also had at least one Neanderthal ancestor in his family tree. Probably a bunch of fucking goofy monkeys with a chimp. Further confirming their previous theory that despite the separation of their groups, Neanderthals and the other ones interacted quite frequently. Yeah, that's why our worlds are so fucked up today. Because we have Neanderthals still each other. Neanderthals and the other ones may not have had many opportunities to meet. I can't even pronounce this name, but I'm going to spell it. SVANTEPAABO. the director of the Department of Evolutionary Genetics at the Max Planck Institute, and the lead author of the study said, and this is in quotations, "But when they did, they must have mated frequently, much more so than we previously thought." You people can actually think? That's scary. You can make the plague that's going on right now, or the pandemic, look normal. This teenager's 90,000-year-old bone is not just teaching us about the mating of our human ancestors. Nobody wants to know that shit. This fragment is helping mold our understanding of hominin interactions overall. Yeah, not something I would want to see. Next, find out what a 45,000-year-old bone reveals about human Neanderthal relations after that discovered who wrote the Bible according to actual historical evidence. Which was the last part, but no! I don't want to read about the Bible. I don't believe in it. It's a bunch of lies. Let's see. We're going to another one. This was yesterday. You remember the movie Maude, right?
Huh?
You remember the movie Maude, right?
Yeah.
Charlie, Hauck, I can't say his last name, the writer and producer of Maude and Frasier, died at 79. Charlie, the Emmy-nominated writer-producer of Maude and Frasier, died of complications from pancreatic cancer on Saturday at the age of 79. Warner Brothers TV confirmed his death at his home in Los Angeles to Variety, whatever it is. The longtime writer worked on the CBS series Maude. Oh, it was a TV series. I thought it was a movie. Okay.
What?
Maude. I thought it was a movie. It's actually a TV series. For 3 seasons, both as a producer and writer of nearly 20 episodes. In 1979, Charlie co-wrote the ABC series The Associates, which earned him an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Writer in a Comedy Series. It was not that good of a comedy series.
I never watched it, so that shows something.
I did. When that was the only channel on at the time, and everything else went wacky. Charlie reunited with Maude producer Elliot Schoenman, if that's how you spell his last name. It's got Schoenman, in the 90s as an executive producer and writer on ABC comedy series Home Improvement, starring Tim Allen. Sorry.
Not funny of a show.
Sorry. But he made the famous.
The only thing he ever did good was doing Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
Due to the fact Tom Hanks was more funnier.
Yeah.
As Woody.
In 2000, he moved on to join the staff of NBC's Frasier. Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
For which he received his second Emmy nomination as one of the producers of an astounding comedy series. Not too much funny, but it was kind of there, kind of wasn't, you know? It was a flip-flopper for me. And I used to watch Kelsey Grammer's Frasier. Due to the fact I think that was his name on Cheers, too, Frasier.
Yeah.
Can't
fact, if I'm not mistaken, that movie the movie Up Periscope came out before that.
Yeah. Wasn't he also in Mikhail? The movie
I think that was somebody else.
with Tom Arnold.
Tom Arnold did Mikhail's Navy.
Yeah, wasn't
Kelsey
Graham?
Graham
in it?
wasn't in that one.
I thought he was. Okay.
Now, thinking Bruce Campbell, he was in that movie too.
No, I remember Kelsey Grammy wearing a sailor suit and everything.
Yeah, that was Up Periscope.
Oh, okay. That's not me. I get those two confused half the time.
Just think of the person who was the first director for NCIS. She was in that one.
Oh, yeah. No, she was the director in the NCIS, not a producer.
Yeah, but she was actually in Up Periscope as the diving officer.
Lauren Harley.
Yeah.
Holly.
Yeah.
I think it is fair to look at something and say, I could do that. Charlie said of writing for the screen in a 1993 interview with the Washington Post, the tricky thing about television is it what? Hold on, guys. There's a quotation here, but I think somebody wasn't paying attention when they wrote it. But I'm going to read it like they have it.
Yeah.
The tricky thing about television is it is sort of like marksmanship. You say, I could do that, but not everybody can. As I can't even say this, reflectal, whatever, referenceable, I don't know, I can't say it, words are hard. And formulaic, Formulaic, that's not even a word.
That's not even a name.
It's not even a word. I could say formulated. I could see that as a word. And sappy, as a lot of TV seems, even on the lower levels, it is kind of difficult to do. On the higher levels, a good show on a good night. Television can be quite exquisite and very difficult. Yeah, depends on who's doing it and depends on what company likes your shit.
Yeah.
Charlie was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio. Oh, he's an Ohio man. Right next door to us. Down by the Canadian border, of course.
Yeah. It's a bit, people. We know Canada isn't in the Texas border.
And graduated from John Carroll University, the city's Jesuit University.
Uh-huh.
Jesuit. In 1963, he moved to Pittsburgh. He became a PA boy right here in our backyard, where he served as a reporter and Pittsburgh bureau chief of Business Week magazine. Holy crap. You go from graduating Carroll University, born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and in 1963 you came here to PA and worked as a reporter for the Pittsburgh Bureau Week magazine? Holy crap. And that's it for that one. Holy crap. Uh-oh. No, here we go. Okay.
Take a break.
You want me to?
Yeah.
I actually had a crime story here. But I'll take a break.
Okay. Well, like I said before, you go over some trivia or things you didn't know about Child's Play 2. Just to explain my point that I mentioned in the last episode. The original script for Child's Play 2 had an opening scene of a court hearing dealing with the events of the previous film. Catherine Hicks was to reprise her role as Karen Barkley in this sequence, but it was cut before filming began. Elements of this scene appeared in a similar courtroom case in Curse of Chucky 2013. I'll let that muddle in your head, see if you know what that's for. Don Mancini stated that in an early draft of his script, the film was set during the Christmas season. This would have explained why so many good guy dolls were in the factory during the finale. Despite not reprising her role, Catherine Hicks, she was actually constantly on set for the sequel to see her husband, Kevin Yeager, who operated the animatronic Chucky doll at the time. Now it's someone else doing it.
Roger!
The good guy doll, Tommy, is named after original Child's Play director Tom Holland. Shut up, you idiot!
Spider-Man!
Chris Sarandon was originally going to reprise his role as Detective Mike Norris from the first film, but his scenes were cut from the film during two budgetary issues. That can go either way. At 84 minutes, this is the shortest Child's Play movie. It's not that short.
You got shafted.
Well, again, it's not that short. Unless you're talking about it being on TV where shit's added and certain shit's cut. Irritates the shit out of me on that shit.
Plus commercials.
That's what I meant. All of Brad Dourif's voiceover work for Chucky was recorded in advance, so they could match up Chucky's mouth with the words. Because of this, Dourif was rarely appeared on set. Instead, recordings of his voice would be played back for Alex Vincent, who was 8 at the time, to go by. The film actually opened as #1 at the box office. Who says Chucky ain't a fucking movie film? The events of this story cover a time span of 4 years. That's why Alex Vincent was 8. I don't know. I mean, he was 6 in the first one. And in the second one, he looked like he was 8. But could have been a little bit older. Chucky appeared in a tuxedo.
That wasn't in the movie.
Hold on, let me explain it. Chucky appeared in a tuxedo at the 1990 Horror Hall of Fame Awards to advertise the theatrical release of the film. He was introduced by Robert Englund, Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street. That would explain why he was introduced. Now, the film, Christine Elise, was actually her film debut. And you can tell by her clothes, they were early 90s. Mainly the shorts. David Kirshner presented Don Mancini with the idea of making the setting a foster home. Don Mancini had stated in an interview that a locker scene was originally supposed to be in the film, but it was cut and used in Bride of Chucky 1998, which would be the beginning of that. Jenny Agutter has said this is one of the worst filming experiences she's ever had. That's because you fucking sucked.
Yeah, I just typed into the search engine for images on Google, Chucky in a tuxedo. He's wearing a white tuxedo with a black bow tie. And there's like two different pictures of him. There's one where he's at the podium.
Yeah.
And there's another one where he's sitting with the crowd.
Of course.
Eyes are squinted. He's got a smile. But the suit looks like a light blue.
Okay.
And his hair is like bright orange. Not red, orange.
That was because someone thought it'd be funny to put gel in his hair.
Yeah. But him up on the podium, his hair is like a brown color. I mean, brown.
That was
brown.
that was because the lighting. The lighting wasn't fit for an animatronic puppet.
Yeah. So that means there's two dolls.
Yeah.
That were created that wear tuxedos. Chucky and Slappy.
Come again.
Remember Slappy from Goosebumps?
Yeah. But
he wore a tuxedo too.
that's because he was a ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah. So Chucky and Slappy both wore tuxedos.
Anyway, back to what I was saying about Jenny Agutter. She thought it's the worst filming experience she's ever had. Probably because her character gets killed off. And she was a bit annoying. Or the character was a bit annoying. In the later seasons of Seinfeld, 1989, in which Grace, oh God, I know I'm going to butcher her name, Miss Krisky plays Mrs. Ross after playing Grace Poole in the film. A copy of Child's Play 2 can be seen on the shelf, or spotted on the shelf in Jerry's apartment, where he keeps his VHS tapes. According to commentary by writer Dom Mancini on the DVD of the first film, the reason the rest of the Child's Play movies are released by Universal instead of MGM, United Artists, despite the first film being highly successful for them. And I love this one, was that United Artists, as well as MGM, was about to be bought out by a company that wanted to maintain a family-friendly slate of films. That's why the property was then gladly sold to Universal. Ironically, Quintex, the company that made the bid to purchase United Artists / MGM, dropped the deal not longer after the film set up shop somewhere else, which would explain the legal issue. In a different one, Universal's advertising campaign for the film, when it was released, was nominated for the Hollywood Reporter Key Art Award. I don't know what kind of award that is, but no idea. Maybe somebody could email us and let me know that. Mary Steenburgen and Karen Black, whoever that is, were considered for Grace Poole before Grace Zabriskie was casted. Kevin Yeager ended directing several scenes featuring Chucky when the puppets proved problematic to work with. That would mean you get people who know how to do puppetry work, and you won't have that issue. Veronica Cartwright was considered for the part of Joanne before Jenny Agutter was chosen. The character of Grace Poole, Grace Zabriskie, is named after the mysterious servant of Mr. Rochester in Charlotte Bronte's classic novel, Jane Eyre. A tie-in novelization to the film was later written by Matthew J. Costello. The author added in some of his own plot scenes exclusive to the novel, such as going deeper into Andy Barclay and Chucky's past. Chucky is characterized to have an absent father and his abusive mother being a dwarf. Okay, now that's just rude. That's really fucking rude. Chucky got teased a lot because of this, and later strangled his mother to death. Also, Chucky was put in several special classes when he was younger. Not going to make fun of that. I myself was in special classes for ADD. The first of two films in this series where Chucky doesn't use a gun as a weapon, although he does use a squirt gun as a decoy. He doesn't use a gun at all, real or fake. In Curse of Chucky in 2013. Mark Patrick Carducci was developing a script for the film at the same time as Don Mancini. In the novelization, Andy has a point where he remembers his mom telling him to be a good trooper, foreshadowing the third film, in which he goes to Kent Military Academy. This film takes place in Chicago in 1990. Home Alone also takes place in Chicago in 1990. Plus, both of these films were released in the same year. I don't know what the fuck Home Alone has to do with fucking Chucky, but anyways, I guess probably because both of them. And we already went over why the Tommy doll Chucky is named after Tom Holland, director, who did the first film. This was Child's Play 2, was composer Graham Ravel's first big symphonic Hollywood film score. When asked by the producers if had done such a score before, he bluffed and said yes. In truth, he had never done a full orchestral score. His breakthrough score, Dead Calm, was written for a much smaller embezzle. Phil Simpson is somehow even more of an antagonist in the novelization. He gets some new deadpan snarker lines of a pointedly cruel sort. And Andy senses the first time he meets him that there was something about this man that he didn't like. And to contrast with his boss Sullivan, Madsen is made more evil in this novelization as well as the film's television cut, by being shown to be a cheating cad running around on his wife. Adam Wiley's first film role, also, whoever that is. Originally, the names of Phil and Joanne were actually George and Mildred. I don't know how that was, okay, I get it now. Originally, Phil and Joanne. Their names were named George and Mildred in the script process. The scene where Andy picks up Tommy, that is really Chucky, it opens up the battery and finds batteries inside, is similar to the scene in the original Child's Play film, where his mother picks up Chucky and opens the battery compartment and finds it empty. In case people were wondering, what that deal was. Mr. Sullivan isn't quite as evil in the novelization as he is in the film. I wouldn't say evil, I'd say a douchebag. Retaining enough humanity to care when the technician Bob Mayer was electrocuted and thrown through a window when reconstructing Chucky. He reacts the way a normal person would, screaming for someone to call an ambulance, while in the film he is coldly detached. Also, Phil Simpson is more of a jerk. I'm gonna ad-lib this one. Is more of a dick with a heart of gold in the television version than the theatrical version, showing how his jerk-ass moments spawned from his anger born of worry for his wife and the pet, the dog moments he has with her. The Simpsons station wagon, people were wondering, is a 1986 Ford Taurus, which is why station wagons can't really, go that fast. The film debuted as number 1 on the North American box office charts. It was nominated for a Saturn Award as well as chosen to be an official selection at the Festival International du Film Fantastique d'Avarice. Joyce Van Patten was considered for the role of Miss Kettlewell before Beth Grant was cast. I'm sure a lot of you know what that scene is. The actually best scene, her getting hit with a fucking ruler. Jan Marlin and Peter Mark Richmond were both considered for the minor role of PlayPal CEO Mark Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, sorry. There are many similarities to the 1931 Universal horror classic Frankenstein. Chucky is brought back to life through electricity, which would have the similarity to Frankenstein. Both Chucky and the monster search for their former owner or creator in hopes to becoming human, only to have them reject them. Now, the car Madsen is in the movie is a 1988 BMW 735I, or E32. As Andy is inspecting his bedroom in his foster home, you can see a Nash Nightmare model skateboard from 1986 on the top shelf of the closet. The novelization Chucky muses in his internal monologue about the advantages of his doll body and how it puts him at perfect height for slashing people's legs, cutting them just behind the knees, or severing their tendons. A VHS copy of the film can be seen on a shelf in Jerry's apartment in Seinfeld 1989. An added thing, in case people thought I was kidding since I'm reading the fucking thing. Gary Graham's character Phil drives a red Ford Taurus station wagon. Ironically, a decade ago, Graham's previous character Jeff was superstitious about red cars being bad luck in Robert Zemeckis's used cars. I don't know what the fuck that is, but it sounds boring. Considering Phil would later get killed, maybe Jeff was right about red cars bringing bad luck if associated with one. Also, Graham's past character Jeff mentions Valium, which Phil jokingly responds to Joanne's question to calm Andy down. Which is also why it was actually ironic that he gets killed. The voodoo entity Damballa, who Chucky refers to as Mighty Damballa, ruler of life and death in the novelization, is hinted to be the god of evil, contradicting both the faith of Chucky's teacher from the first film as well as the historical mythology of the Loa Damballa. The novelization of the third film confirms it outright. Let's see, this film is the debut appearance of Adam Wiley. Christine Elise McCarthy was actually 25 years old when the film was released. It is stated in the film that the character Kyle is a teenager, but the actress who plays her was considerably older at the time. So see, there's my fucking thing there. When you're a female, it doesn't matter if you're a little bit older or younger, as long as you can fucking do it right.
And you don't look the age that you are, but you look 20 years younger.
Yeah, that's my fucking other goat too. Andy's final third act, he was wearing a blue and yellow shirt. Michael Hughes was wearing the same shirt at one time in Kindergarten Cop. The fuck? Okay, yeah. Adam Wiley is in both movies, and both movies were made by Universal Studios. Now, the murder of Andy's teacher and the final showdown at the toy factory were both elements of Don Mancini's original Child's Play 1988 script that failed to make it into the first film. Beth Grant was hesitant to accept the role of Andy's strict, ill-fated teacher, Miss Kettlewell. I want to say the line, but I don't know. You've been very naughty, Miss Kettlewell. Although Grant liked the script, she was intimidated about doing a horror film. She called her friend, actress Dinah Manoff, who was Maggie in Child's Play 1988, asking for advice. Manoff replied, "Well, if you see Child's Play, you'll find that I'm in it." Grant took her attitude as a good omen and signed on. This movie and Seed of Chucky 2004 are the only films in the series in which Chucky does not get shot at any point. The body count is 7. For example, the tech, the four-eyed guy, Matson, Kettlewell, Phil, Joanne, the caseworker, and the toy factory technician. So that's a total of 7. Grace Poole's death could be a nod to what happened to Grace Zabriskie in the Don Knotts and Tim Conway comedy The Private Eyes 1980, where her character was found dead, also at the climax with a doll prop to look like it was strangling her to death. Before it was revealed she faked her own death. Both Kyle and Grace Poole strongly resemble Karen Barkley and Maggie Peterson from the original film, respectively. Like Karen, Kyle has short-length blonde hair, while Grace, like Maggie, has brown permed hair. I would not call Grace's hair looking like a perm. It would look like a bad hair day or a really bad day at the salon. After you put your finger in a light socket, that's what you get for a hairdo. Like Maggie, Grace gets killed by Chucky. And let's see. Go into my notes here. Oh, shit. Hang on, people. Trying to find the right one here. You fucking... Sorry, people. There we go. If I could find the fucking thing. Okay, here we go. Now we're going on for Child's Play 3. Hopefully you guys are following along here. Because this ain't going to be done until I finish all of them. Just to prove that Robert the Doll was not an inspiration of Chucky. Under Pressure, and this is how Child's Play 3 is, for 1991. Under Pressure from Universal, screenwriter Don Mancini was asked to begin writing the third film even before the second film was released. Hence, this picture was released only 9 months after Child's Play 2, 1990. Mancini has called this one his least favorite because he felt he was out of ideas so soon after Part 2. Actually, it wasn't that bad. I loved it. I love every single fucking one of them. This was the first film in the series to use computers to aid in Chucky's puppetry in order to perfect the lip syncing. The movie was the center of a tabloid panic on its British release, with a newspaper, The Sun, even demanding copies be burnt. Journalists claimed the film had influenced two young boys to their murder of a younger child, which we did talk about before. The 2-year-old James Bulger, although it was later determined that neither had actually seen the film. Like I said, if there are kids or adults that claim murders about murders brought by inspired horror films, especially Chucky, there's obviously something mentally fucking wrong with those people and need to fucking just go. The box office disappointment of this movie, it made only $20.5 million on a $13 million budget. Actually, that's actually good. Your budget's fit $13 million, but it makes $20.5. That's fucking good. Is the reason why there was not another Chucky movie for 7 years. Until Bride of Chucky 1998, which I did audition for it, but... Anyway, John Ritter was originally supposed to appear as a security guard at the Goo Gye Doll factory in a sequence where some kids sneak into the factory and discuss the Chucky myth. John Ritter later appeared in Bride of Chucky in a supporting role. I still can't picture him in that role. I can't. Brett, obviously, okay, this is Brad Dourif's least favorite one, too. That's surprising. The only film of the series where Andy Barclay is played by a different actor instead of Alex Vincent. But Alex Vincent does appear twice via photos as young Andy at the beginning and the middle of the film. In addition to the James Bulger case in Britain, another murder was viscerally linked to the film. Suzanne Capper was kidnapped and tortured by former friends for several days. Afterwards, she was set on fire by her captors and left to die in a ditch. She was found still alive after crawling to a nearby road, but later succumbed to her injuries. During her terrifying ordeal, Suzanne was forced to listen to "Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?" by 150 volts at maximum volume through headphones.
Shocking.
One of those found guilty, Bernadette McNeely, later admitted to commencing each torture session with the phrase, "Chucky's coming to play." Soon the words themselves were enough to make Capper scream. Again. People that fucking do this based on a goddamn movie fucking puppet. or better yet, a horror movie character, need to fucking get the fuck out of society. Sorry if that pisses some people off, but I really don't give a fuck. If you think that's bad, you should look up on Google fan fiction stories with Chucky in it. Sooner or later, there's gonna be fucking pornos with it. I wouldn't doubt it.
Don't give them any ideas.
I'm not. And people thought I was obsessed because I got the whole collection.
Well, except for one.
Huh?
Except for one.
What?
The reboot.
Peter Jackson was asked to direct the film, which in turn was John Lafia. The scene where Tyler sees the Good Guy doll commercial on television is similar to the original. When Andy sees the Good Guy doll commercial on TV, they both say, "Wow," when they see the advertisement. The young adult cast participated in actual war games together. Just in case people were actually wondering if that was an actual thing. Even though Alex Vincent did not star in Child's Play 3, he was credited as Andy Barclay, making his archive footage appearance in the beginning. Which, obviously, yeah. It is sometimes claimed that the film was banned in the UK following the controversy over the James Bulger killing. But this is a myth. The BBFC never banned the film. However, the widespread revulsion over the case led most major video retailers to withdraw the title from their shelves. And the film was rare in the UK until it was released on DVD in 2000, by which time the controversy was largely forgotten. Besides Brad Dourif and Peter Haskell, Mr. Sullivan is the only actor to appear in both Child's Play 2, 1990, and Child's Play 3. The last film to use this is actually the last film to use Child's Play in its title. Don Mancini initially wanted to introduce the concept of multiple Chuckies in the movie, but due to budget constraints, go figure, the idea was eventually scrapped. Which, of course, Don Mancini later used this concept 26 years later for Cult of Chucky 2017. So that right there proves Don Mancini wanted to do that before, but he did it in a movie years later. The movie was actually filmed on Camper Military School and Junior College in Boonville, Missouri. The film, take a drink of stumble once on a movie thing. The movie called the school Kent. The school is now closed down. That does not surprise me. Jonathan Brandis was considered for the role of Andy Barclay being a 16-year-old. But we all know it was Justin Whalen. This is the first film in the series that Chucky the doll form uses a gun as a weapon. One of the Chucky's most memorable quotes or lines from the film is, "Chucky's gonna be a bro." This line is referencing his possible possession of the African American youth Tyler in the movie, as Chucky is actually the soul of a former white Caucasian male named Charles Lee Ray. This line is removed from the edited versions of the film that debut on television and from some of the available store rentals, because a large portion of the public felt that the line / quote was offensive to blacks. Actually, it's not. We know people from shelters who's heard of the line, and they even said it's not offensive.
No, but to people in the movies that create it, think the content is offensive, but they don't see the other part of the sword.
I know. Now, if you said a different word, then it would be.
Yeah. If it was like, hey, Chucky's going to be an N-word, that I could see being, okay, that's
offensive.
not happening. That's
Yeah.
offensive to the
But-
African-American culture.
But the line, Chucky's gonna be a bro,
Right.
that's not offensive.
No, it's not.
Fucking some people are fucking stupid.
I have a lot of black American Africans that I call bro all the time. And
Oh, I know.
they don't see it offensive. They call me bro because I'm white.
No shit.
Because they know, hey, I respect your culture. I respect the history of what your people went through way back in the day.
Didn't you have to explain the same thing to fucking Richie before?
Yes, I did.
When he first heard it and he wasn't sure.
Yeah. A few other people. But it's not offensive. Hey, Chucky's going to become a bro. It's not offensive.
No.
The other one, if he said, hey, Chucky's going to become an N-word, then that's where everything
Yeah.
should hit the wall.
Yeah.
That's very offensive, and a lot of that community would be like blowing up every social media there is, and probably going to the studio where it was created, being a fucking mob outside.
No shit. I mean, it doesn't even say who actually had an issue with it. Just
Well, of course.
maybe the distributors who sent the movies to fucking get rented.
Probably.
Okay. A tie-in novel was later written by Matthew J. Costello, just like Child's Play 2. This novel had some of the author's own parts. In the beginning, unlike the films, in the Play Pal's factory, a rat scores for food and chews on Chucky's remains.
Ew.
Blood then leaks out of the remains and somehow leaks into another doll. Hold on, this is just a novelization.
Yeah, I know.
Chucky's death in this book is also different. In the novel, Andy shoots Chucky in the chest. It causes his body to fall to the floor and watches his head scatter to blood, metal, and plastic, which is probably why it is a comic. It's a basically comic book novel.
Yeah, I understand that. I kind of caught the gist of it, but the content of it, for the way it's said,
Yeah, the novelization.
it's not what happened in the movie.
I know.
I mean, yeah, Andy shot the little bastard,
Yeah, twice.
but he fell and got bladed to death.
More like thrown off. Yeah, I know.
But in what you said about a rat, I didn't see that in the movie.
It's not. Due to the fact, the writer, Matthew J. Costello, who made the comic novels,
Right.
was going his own ways instead of the movie. It's probably why you don't see the fucking shit.
Ah, okay. He didn't want to get busted for copyright infringement shit. Okay. But to me, it's still considered as copy infringement, no matter if you change it for a comic novel.
True, but then again, with fan fiction stories with Chucky in the title and the entire thing, they do this disclaimer that they're fans of Chucky, and it's their own stories, their own imaginations for stories.
Right.
Which they're fine. This motherfucker was trying to cash in on the fucking name.
Exactly.
And probably got busted finally.
Just like everybody else does it.
Maybe. On an episode of Beat the Geeks 2001, the horror geek was asked for the full title of the third film in the Child's Play series. He did not know, and the correct answer was Child's Play 3. Look Who's Stalking. This is technically incorrect because the Look Who's Stalking is only the tagline for the film, not the actual subtitle. The correct answer should be just Child's Play 3. This is the last time the name Child's Play was used as the title until the 2019 remake. Yeah. Remember, MGM/United Artists partnered with Orion.
Yes, I remember.
They were trying to remake it because they realized, oh shit, it has a name.
Mm-hmm. Like every other title movie has a name.
But they were trying to get the right to make it. But due to the fact of the legal loophole, because it's all of it is Universal property,
right,
except for just one. It's the only reason they were okayed to do one.
Yeah.
Which is why it's saying the name Child's Play is the last time it was used after 3. Until the fucking remake. The next ones have Chucky in the title instead.
Yeah, they were
which
just
is
waiting
why
for a fuck up.
Which is why nowadays you hear Chucky 1, Chucky 2, Chucky 3.
Yeah, they were just waiting for a fuck up from Universal Studio or whoever. They were just waiting for that fuck up from Universal Studios or whoever didn't put a trademark copyright on a script.
I think it's the fact that MGM, United Artists, and Orion, they thought at the time horror wasn't a thing. And their studio wouldn't make money off of it if they did any sequels. Which is why, with Universal owning the other ones, they realized, oh, we've just fucked ourselves. We gotta cash in on trying to do a remake. Yeah. Simply because of the name, which is why the TV series is going to be called Chucky. And to think, a friend of mine was actually a crewman, part of the production crew in the remake, actually bumped into us when we first heard about the rumors of it being remade if I wanted a part in it.
The reboot version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I asked him, I went, what the fuck are you smoking? And I don't want none.
Yeah, I still...
That's a slap in the face to the fucking people that still do it.
Yeah. I still feel guilty for paying for you to go see that movie.
Huh?
I still feel guilty for paying for you to go see that movie.
I had to.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. I still feel guilty for making you watch it.
The way Dave... Well, remember, the way Dave Schrader put it, due to the fact, we're doing paranormal stuff like they do.
Yeah. Just our way.
That when it comes to, paranormal and horror films, regardless if I'm going to hate it, I have to see it.
Oh,
not to look too biased.
Oh, I know that. I truly understand that, but... Oh.
But I still saw it, and I still fucking hated it.
Yeah, that's why I said I feel guilty for paying for the ticket for you to go see it.
Nah. The story of this film, Child's Play 3, takes place 8 years following the events of Child's Play 2, which basically what it says in the script. but was released only 9 months after Part 2. The story of this film, takes place just 1 month before the events of Part 4, aka Bride of Chucky. But Bride of Chucky, aka Part 4, was released 7 years after Part 3. The military academy scenes, which are the main plot of the film, take place entirely in just 2 days. In a deleted scene that is seen during some television airings of the film, Tyler is seen playing an Atari Linux portable video game system, which has been modified to mask the name of the system, while riding on the bus to the military school. Approximately, he is playing the military jet fighting / flying simulation game Blue Lightning. He is later seen in the theatrical cut of the film playing, presumably, the same game while waiting to get his hair cut by the barber, although the video game screen is not shown in this later scene. And that's actually a fact. Major Ellis recites the rifleman's creed, specifically, "This is my rifle, this is my gun," referencing Full Metal Jacket, 1987. But that line, I also think it's also Marine.
Yes. Actually, it's Army, Marine, and I want to say maybe the Air Force, but I'm not sure. I know it's definitely not Navy. I know it's Army, Marines. I know that.
Yeah. Now, the handgun Chucky uses at the end, if anybody was wondering, is a nickel-plated Beretta 1950 Jetfire.
Ooh. Wonder how the hell they got their hands on that type of weapon.
I have no idea. One of the toys in Mr. Sullivan's penthouse office is a toy soldier laying prone with a bazooka, a subtle hint to the plot at Kent Military Academy. See, you gotta pay attention to the little details. Andrew Robinson, Sergeant Butnick. I'm dead serious.
I wonder if he had a butt plug too.
And Lois Foraker, Sergeant Fraser, also appear in Dirty Harry 1971. Robinson plays the killer Scorpio, the main antagonist, and Foraker plays a small appearance as the Hot Mary. I don't know what the hell that is. De Silva, Andy's little interest or love interest, is the third female supporting character in the franchise, after Karen Barkley and Kyle respectively. Cochran wears the crossed rifles branch insignia of the infantry on his lapels. Lapels. On his left, he wears the second award Combat Infantryman badge, Pathfinder badge, Senior Parachutist badge. Holy fuck! Expert Marksmanship qualification badge with 2 unidentified clasps, and the ribbons of a Distinguished Service Medal, Silver Star, Legion of Merit with Bronze Oak Leaf Cluster, Defense Supervisor Service Medal, which should precede the Legion of Merit, Bronze Star Medal, Purple Heart, Army Commendation Medal, Meritus Service Medal, which should precede the AMC, or ACM, National Defense Service Medal, Korean, Korean Service Medal with Bronze Service Star, Vietnam Service Medal, Army Overseas Service, the Republic of Vietnam, Army Overseas Service Ribbon Vietnam Military Merit Medal, and Vietnam Campaign Medal on his right. He wears the Republic of Vietnam parachute jump wings, Army Valorous, take a drink, I stumbled, Unit Award, Vietnam Presidential Unit Citation, Vietnam Gallantry Cross Unit Citation. On his right sleeve, he wears United States Army Special Forces, Airborne, shoulder sleeve insignia, former wartime service, SSI FWS, and 6 overseas service bars. Holy fuck! During the war games, at the campfire Ivris, the Silva friend mentions mental institution. Andy is in 1 in the first film, and his mother was also in a mental institution. In case if anybody wondered, does that tie into something? The film is widely thought to have been banned. Again, widely thought to be banned in the United Kingdom until 2002, as it was incorrectly believed to have contributed to a real-life murder by James Bulger. Let's see. In 1991, James was abducted by 2 11-year-old boys who took him to a railway line, tortured and killed him. It was alleged that the 2 boys had watched this film and reenacted the violence. That, of course, was never proven that the boys ever watched this film or knew of its existence. And the film, again, was never banned in the UK. I know I said that before, I'm just repeating it, in case some people still think, or somewhat don't think. Colonel Cochrane wore a wedding ring, indicating that he was either married, divorced, or a widower. As the second film, Matthew Costello wrote a novelization for the third film. It's mostly accurate, though the ending resembles the original only in the broad strokes. I doubt it. Chucky describes the smell. What? Oh. Chucky describes the smell and even taste of Damballa very specifically in the novelization, saying that he gulped at the air when it appeared because it apparently smelled so good to an ex-crazy serial killer anyway, or ex-crazy serial killer anyway, and that even after it disappeared, that the smell and taste of the creature still filled his senses, and he would never lose it completely. Again, this is why Matthew Costello was probably never heard of afterwards. Shelton falls somewhere between being an antagonist and being an adaptional dumbass, as the novelization portrays him as a good deal less competent than the film version, though still just as antagonistic. Now, more like Shelton was a douchebag. The novelization reveals that after summoning Damballa, the voodoo entity decided Chucky was worthy of becoming his emissary, telling him without words that he had a master now, someone to serve, and that his life now had a goal and purpose. The text does not explicitly spell out what that purpose is, but given Chucky's later activities and resurrections, it's not that hard to figure out. Again, I think the novelization really don't fucking get anything. Colonel Cochrane's names sound similar to Colonel Cochrane from Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, 1982, which we had already discussed way back in episodes. Now, Chucky always loses his right hand before he dies. In Child's Play 1988, Andy's mom shoots it off. Actually, no. His entire arm gets shot off, not just his right hand. In Child's Play 2, 1990, Chucky tears it off to escape from a bar. In this movie, Andy cuts it off with a knife. The war game scene where Chucky replaces the paintball bullets with live ammunition, was originally written as a bloodbath scene. Sergeant Botnick explains that soldiers need their hair cut short so that opponents cannot pull it back and slit their throats. Later on, Botnick is killed when Chucky slits his throat. Well, yeah, I would too if someone went to fucking buzz my hair, which is why I don't let no fucking salon person touch my hair. Well, maybe my brothers I would allow, but if they fucked it up, not ever again. And, of course, my husband, Paramike. The only Child's Play film, for Child's Play 3, is actually the only film where no females die. All the victims are males. The body count is 7. For example, Mr. Sullivan, Cochran, the trash dumpster dude, Mystery, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, he got crushed by his own garbage dumper.
Yeah, but Chucky still killed him with it.
Yeah.
You think Shelton would be 4, well, one of the 7. Botnick would be 5. The guard would be 6. Security guard in the freaking carnival there, and 7 would be Whitehurst. Who says I don't know my fucking Chucky films? The film takes place in 1996, and the next film, Bride of Chucky 1998, takes place about 2 years and a month after this film. It features the first appearance of Stitched Chucky, sorry, I burped, to his death at the end of this film. In other words, if people wondering why Chucky was so stitched, that's why. Originally, Sullivan was to be killed by dozens of Goo Guy dolls, but it was cut and instead used in Cult of Chucky 2017 for Nurse Carlos's death, which I could tell from looking at that guy he was going to be one of them. Now, technically, Sergeant Cochran was the only victim not to be murdered by Chucky. He actually dies of a heart attack after finding out that Chucky is alive. However, it could be argued that Chucky did murder him as the shock caused him to have the heart attack. Not if he says the lines, "Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me." If he says that line, you know that was not meant to fucking go down. Or the way he put it. Shelton is strikingly similar to the Mark Macliffe character Douglas C. Niedermeyer from the frat comedy classic Animal House, 1978, which was also distributed by Universal Pictures, which happens to also distribute Child's Play sequels, or Chucky sequels, but without the comedic traits, unlike Niedermeyer himself. Interestingly, in the end of the comedy film, Niedermeyer was said to be shot by his own troops in Vietnam, while Shelton was similarly shot by his own classmates with the paintball war games. In the paintball war games. Actually, he was only shot by one.
Right. I actually, since you couldn't figure out all 7 of them.
Huh?
When you were trying to name all 7 of them.
Yeah.
Who killed.
Yeah.
I actually looked it up. Child's Play 3, 1991. Christopher Sullivan.
Yep.
Was the first one to get done by a yo-yo. The Garbage Man by his own truck.
Yep.
Colonel Francis was the 3rd one.
Yeah.
Butnick was the 4th.
Yep.
Lieutenant Colonel Barrett Campbell Shelton.
Yeah.
Harold Whitehurst.
Yeah.
And the Carnival Guard.
Yeah.
And the last one to be killed was Charles Lee Ray. Chucky.
Yeah.
He was the last one to be killed.
Yeah, but Chucky's kill count is basically what it's meaning.
Yeah, I
but
understand that.
I actually do agree.
I'm just throwing that in there to you just to let you know the 7.
Yeah.
Due to the fact they actually have 8 here.
Yeah.
And the last one happens to be Charles Lee Ray, a.k.a. Chucky.
I hate it when other fucking media sites add shit that's not even in it.
Yeah, because for cause of death here, let's see, we know about the yo-yo, the garbage truck, the heart attack, the straight razor, a shot in chest with rifle, jumped up a grenade, it blew up.
Yeah. Leave it to a nerd in a freaking horror movie to actually be the one to save everybody.
Yeah, shot in the head with a handgun.
Yeah.
And then for Chucky, this is a big one. It says, half of face sliced off by SCY.
By the scythe.
Yeah.
Which I still cringe every time I see that part.
Yeah. Arm blown off, chest shot with a revolver.
Yep.
Hand cut off with knife.
Yep. Then the fucking fan.
Fell into the fan, sliced to pieces.
But if you pay attention to it, you see his parts flying all over the place.
Yeah, I know.
So technically, his entire body wasn't fully chopped to hell.
Right.
It's basically nothing. But however...
I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, I know. But however, the Cochran one, that could be argued as not being Chucky killing him. Because when he comes out and Cochran sees that he's alive, Chucky was actually trying to scare him to get him to run.
Right.
But instead, the fucking line, when he's having a heart attack, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah, that was the guard.
No, that was actually Cochran.
No, that was a security guard.
No, the security guard was actually shot off screen.
No.
Yes, dear.
No, because you watched that last night.
Yeah.
Okay? When the security guard came into that room, Chucky went, boo.
Oh, that was Whitehurst. That was when Cochran died. I was talking about...
And then the security guard that came in had the heart attack. And that's when Chucky said, "You got to be fucking kidding me." Trust me, I remember that scene very well.
So don't I know every fucking line that Chucky does.
Yeah, Chucky said to the security guard when the security guard had the heart attack, "You got to be fucking kidding me." Because Chucky didn't even get a chance to knife his ass.
Well...
And that's the old guy.
The old guy being the person that ran the fucking military school.
No.
I can put it out again. I can show it to you.
It was the security guard that had a heart attack when Chucky said, "You got to be
shot
fucking
in
kidding
the head."
me." No, he wasn't. Let me go back to it. Because yes, people,
You might be reading the television version.
No, this is the movie. This is the movie. Child's Play 3, 1991.
What fucking side are you seeing it on?
Creative, C-R-E-A-T-H, C-R-E-A-T-I-V-E-T-H-O-U-G.
Creative T?
No, it's Creative Thoughts. It's one word.
Yeah.
.fandom, FANDOM.com /
Yeah.
WIKI /
If I could find a fucking backslash.
You have to hit shift and where the question mark is.
Yeah.
Child _S
Yeah.
_
Sorry, folks. Trying to prove something here. Yeah.
play
Yeah, I got that.
_ in the parentheses. You want to type in series in the parentheses.
Yeah.
_ deaths. And just scroll down to Child Plays 3, 1991. Because Cochran, well, they have here heart attack.
Hang on. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna name everything here. Mr. Sullivan, heads smacked with a golf club, darts thrown into his back, / also his hand, strangled with a yo-yo, garbage man crushed in his own truck by him, Colonel Francis Cochran, heart attack.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was a heart attack, but that's not it. It was a security guard that had the heart attack.
Sergeant Botnick, throat slit with a razor.
That's the hairdresser.
Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Brett Campbell Shelton, shot in the chest with a rifle by one, not all of them. Harold Aubrey Whitehurst, jumped on a grenade and gets blown the fuck up. Carnival Guard, shot in the head with a handgun. He was shot in the head.
Yeah, he was.
And I don't know why they got Chucky in the fucking kill count. because
That's what I
that
read.
doesn't count.
That's what I read to you. But
Half
Cochran,
his face sliced off by scythe, arm blown off, chest shot with revolver, hand cut off, fell into fan, sliced to pieces. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Colonel Cochran being basically killed by a heart attack, it doesn't really count as a kill that Chucky does. More like he jumps out trying to scare him to get him to run.
right,
Instead, he gets the heart attack.
right.
Now, Whitehurst seen basically Botnick being killed with a straight razor or dying in the chair. Basically, gets scared after Chucky goes boom. Now, the carnival guard being shot in the head with the handgun is basically that isn't shown on camera. That's off screen. They just Andy and De Silva just find the guy dead with a bullet to the head. And by the way, creative thoughts for blah 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 wiki, that shit can be added in there.
Yeah. But
Anyways,
see, what I'm saying is that Cochran died of a heart attack
yeah,
when Chucky scares him.
yeah,
My point is that they say here he was a colonel, but in the movie he has on a security badge with a security jacket doing his rounds, as what a security guard would do. That's my point. In the movie, it was not Francis Cochran was not a colonel when that scene came up where he had a heart attack and crashed into the table. He was a security guard in that movie. When Chucky said, "You've got to be fucking kidding me," that shouldn't even count as a kill.
yeah. I know.
Okay?
Heart attacks doesn't really count as a fucking kill for a horror icon.
Right.
Anyways,
But like I said, they have him here as a colonel, but in the movie scene,
yeah.
he has security gear on.
But he was woken up by the fucking drill they were having at like midnight.
Right. That's what I was trying to say. He wasn't a colonel in the scene. He was
Well,
a security guard.
colonels, I know a colonel's like
Colonel.
a colonel. Due to the fact that's what everybody calls the guy,
Colonel.
is basically above a cardinal.
Colonel. Not a cardinal. Cardinal's a motherfucker that thinks he's all high-powered in Jesus. Colonel is different. Colonel is one step above major.
Until Curse of Chucky, this film had the most deaths in a single place. Sergeant Cochran, the military barber segment, Colonel Shelton, and Whitehurst, who are all based at Andy's military school, no shit, are all killed, no shit. Sergeant Botnick's death is strikingly similar to that of Corporal Telford from Die Hard 2, 1990, when Major Grant slashes his throat after exposing how the corporal is a non-member of Blue Light. Now, we'll do one more here, then I'm going to take a quick break and have a fucking smoke. Let's see, let me get a quick sip here. Now we're going to Bride of Chucky, things you didn't know / trivia, because I can continue making my point. Julia Stiles, as in yes, that Julia Stiles, got the part of Jade, but later dropped out to play a role in 10 Things I Hate About You, 1999, which is why I don't like comedies. They suck, unless they're stand-up comedians. The date on Tiffany's newspaper clippings at the beginning of the movie and the date of death on Charles Lee Ray's tombstone is November 8th, 1988, the release date of the first Child's Play movie. Bride of Chucky is Brad Dourif's personal favorite to the Chucky movies. Yeah, I do remember him saying that at Q&As. That is his favorite. In the opening scene, Michael Myers and Jason's masks from the Halloween 1978 and Friday the 13th 1980 movies. Leatherface's chainsaw from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974 movies, and Freddy Krueger's glove from Nightmare on Elm Street 1984 movies are visible. According to Jennifer Tilly, the sex doll scene was all improvised. Actually, the way I looked at it, it was more like he was the one carrying that scene. I'm sorry to say, even though I have a personal fucking passionate hate for her, because I'm still gonna say it till I'm blue in the face. I had that fucking role, but no, I was too young. Anyway, there is a character in the film named Damien Belloc, the Omen, the original Omen, 1976. The satanic child is called Damien, while his evil nanny is called Mrs. Belloc. There was a planned album of love songs featuring Brad Dourif and Jennifer Tilly singing as their doll counterparts, Chucky and Tiffany. It's revealed in the movie commentary that Tiffany was to sing Killing Me Softly with his song. Chucky was intended to sing House of the Rising Sun, and the two were to share a duet of Hit the Road Jack. Also in the evidence room, in the beginning of the movie, there is the crate from the movie Creepshow 1982. Tiffany's last name is Valentine, which people figured that out when they saw when Cult came out. When Tiffany's pet tarantula, that's probably the other reason director thought I was too young. I said hell no about the tarantula. When Tiffany's pet tarantula, Charlotte, lands on Damien's face, it is a CG spider. It was a CGI spider that was used.
What? That's not right.
No, Damien City even said it's a CG spider because Alexis Arquette, who played Damien, had a phobia of spiders.
Yeah, I understand that, but that's not what the commentary on the DVD said when she was telling it.
Figure.
She said it was a real spider.
Yeah, if you think about it, though, Jennifer Tilly was actually not supposed to be a part of the commentary, but she just poured herself in it. I mean, when the spider drops on his face, that's the CG spider. The spider that she's seen holding is the real one.
Ah, okay. So they did use CGI.
Yeah, they used CGI for the spider, yeah.
Okay.
Why the fuck couldn't they go do that for me? Oh, wait, because I was, 16?
And to think, Don Mancini said there was no CGIs in his movies.
No, there was some CGI in it. At around 17 minutes, Chucky twisting his head around all the way in front of Damien is an obvious reference to The Exorcist 1973. Coincidentally, Brad Dourif, Chucky, was in The Exorcist 3, 1990, as the Gemini Killer, who also makes a reference to Child's Play 1988 in that movie. I know, because I've seen The Exorcist 3 quite a few times. Trust me, Brad Dourif was a freaking busy actor. Even though some movies, he is recognized for them, but not really.
Yeah, and it was the same thing in the movie with Leslie Nielsen, too. With
Huh?
the girl. It was the same thing in the movie Leslie Nielsen starred in as the priest.
Yeah, Repossessed, that was more like a spoof that came out like several years later.
Yeah. It was the same exact thing where she took her head backwards.
That
like
was
Chucky did.
That was actually I think that was actually due to the fact it's not mentioning Repossessed. Due to the fact Repossessed was more of a spoof of The Exorcist.
Right.
That came out in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
His head turning around is basically for the nod on The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Let's see. A certain Bride of Chucky 1998 promotional poster is a parody of one of the Scream 2 1997 posters. It is. If people actually look up Bride of Chucky poster and open up another window and put the Scream 2 picture, movie cover, it'll show it. When Chucky is explaining to Jesse about how they ended up in doll bodies, he says, if it were a movie, it would take 3 or 4 sequels just to do it justice. Trying to get that vocals back. Bride of Chucky 1998 was preceded by Child's Play 1988, Child's Play 2 1990, and Child's Play 3 1991. And since this is the 4th Child's Play movie. It is followed by 3 more sequels: Seed of Chucky in 2004, Curse of Chucky 2013, and Cult of Chucky 2017. Two of Rob Zombie's songs are featured in the film, in Bride of Chucky: Living Dead Girl and Thunder Kiss 65. Brad Dourif would later play Sheriff Brackett in Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween 2007 and Halloween 2 2009. And I still say him being in Rob Zombie's version of Halloween was actually good. For some reason, I didn't like the original guy. This film, Bride of Chucky, marks the first appearance of Chucky's redesign. The film takes place in 1998, 2 years and a month after the third movie, which took place in 1996. When Tiffany's in the bathtub, she is watching Murder, She Wrote, 1984, on the television, which its episodes featured guest appearances by Jack Colvin, who played Dr. Ardmore in Child's Play 1988, Peter Haskell, who played Mr. Sullivan in Child's Play 2, 1990, and Child's Play 3, 1991. Jenny Agarter, who played Joanne Simpson in Child's Play 2, 1990, and Brad Dourif, who voices Chucky. Yeah, I forgot. He was actually in one of... I think... Yeah, I forgot. Brad Dourif was in a couple of Murder, She Wrote episodes. Which, of course, she changes the channel, and Tiffany is watching Bride of Frankenstein while in the bathtub. This movie was released in 1998, the same year that Bride of Frankenstein was selected into the National Film Registry. David says mass murderers kill people all at once, like at the post office. A reference to the phrase going postal, referring to becoming extremely and uncomfortably angry, often to the point of violence, and usually in a workplace environment. The expression derives from a series of incidences from 1986 onward in which the USPS, United States Postal Service, workers shot and killed managers, fellow workers, and members of the police or general public in acts of mass murder. Between 1970 and 1997, more than 40 people were killed by current or former employees in at least 20 incidents of workplace rage. Between 1986 and 2011, workplace shootings happened at roughly 2 per year, with an average of 12 people killed per year. Most notably, the Edmond post office shooting that occurred in Edmond, Oklahoma. I'm going to say that again. Edmond, Oklahoma, on August 20th, 1986. During a deadly rampage that lasted less than 15 minutes, postal worker Patrick Sherrill pursued and shot 20 co-workers, killing 14 of them before committing suicide, which is why David says that in the movie. When Tiffany says to Damien about one thing she forgot to mention about Chucky, to which, Damien sarcastically says, "Don't tell me Schmucky is one of those dolls that wets his pants," is similar to Child's Play 2, 1990, when Kyle is interrogated by the police officer regarding Chucky's bleeding nose. She states to the officer, "You've seen dolls that pee? This one bleeds."
I still say that's the best line ever.
Huh?
I say that's the best line ever in that movie. Just by listening to it when I'm not trying to watch it.
Bride of Chucky is the first movie in the series to not have Child's Play in the title. This makes it one of the rare franchises to not have a consistent name in the title of each movie. And we all can figure out why. The part where Chucky is playing with a speak and spell and types in bitch when it asks him to spell woman is a reference to the scene in Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, 1990, where Leatherface is playing an electronic word game, and he keeps typing in food when it's showing a picture of a clown. According to the news report on Jesse and Jade for the serial killings, Jesse's last name is Miller. The soundtrack, featuring a Power Man 5000 track, lead singer Spider-Man, real name Michael David Cummings, is the lead singer of the industrial metal electric rock group. He is the younger brother of musician Rob Zombie, whom also appears on the soundtrack twice for his original groove metal band White Zombie, plus again for his solo career track Living Dead Girl. Marks the only time Spider-1 and Rob Zombie have appeared on the same motion picture soundtrack. I used to have the soundtrack. Pissed me off because my nephew broke the damn thing. My nephew Adam, Alex's son. The transgender porn star Bailey J's stage name was inspired by Robert Bailey. Let's see. Bride of Chucky is considered the best of the Child's Play sequels and remains a fan favorite. And so is also Brad Dourif's favorite. In the news report on Jesse's radio, in his van, the announcer said that Charles Lee Ray was gunned down in Hackensack, New Jersey in 1988. Charles Lee Ray, in the first Child's Play movie, was gunned down in 1988. However, he was gunned down inside a toy store in Chicago, Illinois. In an episode of 8 Simple Rules, 2002, the son comments about his two sisters. The Bride of Chucky is after Barbie. John Ritter, who starred in that show until his death in 2003, also starred in Bride of Chucky 1998. And I still say I cannot picture John Ritter as a douchebag cop. I can't. Not after the freaking movies I've seen him in as a puke-inducingly nice character. I'm sorry, that's what he seemed to me in freaking Problem Child 1 and 2. Sorry.
Yeah. Due to the fact that what you just said, that was that toy store in that scene where Charles Lee Ray was supposedly killed or blown up.
No, he was killed, yeah.
It was an old Chinese restaurant that went out of business.
I said that in the first movie that I talked about.
Yeah, I know. I still can't believe it. Still, when you first talked about it and you said it again, and I'm thinking, why do it in a Chinese restaurant?
Well, if it's fucking closed down.
I mean, how big was this place?
Probably the way it was, due to the fact they only showed the outside for like a few seconds, then the inside. Looked kind of like, maybe like an average toy store.
Yeah, just by looking on the outside.
Like what you would see in the mall for a fucking Toys R Us in a mall.
Well, I wouldn't say something like Toys R Us, more like KB toy stores.
Yeah.
But, that's just the out face of the building.
Yeah.
It looks like it's small, but on the inside it's like, okay, he's coming this way, bleeding, hitting almost every shelf.
Yeah.
But in a certain camera angle, it looked like there was like 4,000 miles from where he was at all the way down. I'm like, how big is this fucking place? The outside is small, but it's like a high rise a bit. I think I had like 3 or 4 more floors.
It might have been the angle of the cameras.
But just in there, the camera shot perfectly this way as Brad's coming this way, bouncing off of things. It looked like 4,000 miles of nothing but straight toys. It's like this place was bigger than any other freaking toy store there is.
Now, if anybody was wondering what the car was, that Tiffany's car is, in Bride of Chucky, it is a 1960 Pontiac, which is the same car from Cult, too.
Just a different color, though.
It was similar to the same color, but they had to spray paint it red.
Yeah.
The car...
That's why I said different color.
The car David drives is a BMW 5, basically an E34. The recreation vehicle Chucky, Tiffany, Jesse, and Jade hijack are a new set of wheels to remain inconspicuous is a 1988 Fleetwood Bounder. And Paramike's looking at me like, what the fuck did I just say?
I'd never even heard of a vehicle like that.
People who know about trailers or driving trailers would probably know what that is.
Yeah, I know. Mechanics would know what that is, and shoot, I've never even seen one of those vehicles.
Yeah. In doll form, Tiffany initially has black hair, but dyes it blonde to look like her human form. In real life, actress Jennifer Tilly has black hair and dyed her hair to play a blonde. She's had different hair colors.
She's just better off with a wig.
Huh?
She was just better off with a wig.
That's why I started dyeing my hair black.
Or an octopus.
That's why I started dyeing my hair black, because girls with black hair do get put in freaking horror films too. Jesse's van that he drives is a 1985 GMC Vandura. That's Vandura, pay attention. The handgun that Tiffany uses is a nickel Bruni ME8 Police.
That's old school.
Huh?
That's old school.
No shit.
That was before police departments was even developed. Shit.
Tiffany says to Damien, "Are you ready for a menage a trois?" Which he doesn't know what that is. Basically, it means the French threesome.
Menage a trois.
A menage a trois.
Yeah, but you said...
Well, the weird thing is, if you look at the fucking spelling,
Yes,
it looks like it's hard to pronounce at the end of the word because it's Trois.
Yes, I know.
But when you say it, menage a trois, the R sounds more like a CH.
Yes, I know. But you said in the French version.
Yeah, it's
So I just gave the French version. Menage a trois.
I knew that. I always fucking knew menage a trois was said threesome. During the opening montage, we see a number of items associated with other well-known horror slasher icons. But out of all of them, it makes sense for Michael Myers' mask to be in an evidence locker. This movie takes place shortly after Child's Play 3, which if you do the math, is set in 1998. Michael Myers was supposedly decapitated after he was carted off. So it, at the very least, would explain why police would have had his mask in the first place. Of course, that was before 2018 said fuck all the other ones. Mm-hmm. The handgun that Chucky uses at the end is a second-generation Glock 17. And Paramike just gave the look like, please. The pet of Tiffany, the tarantula called Charlotte. The tarantula belongs to the genus of Aviculata Mina Trex, basically a type of tarantula. Tiffany calls Jesse Sweetface. In Seed of Chucky 2004, Tiffany refers to the genderless title character as this. I wouldn't say genderless title character. I would say very confused. Not sure what gender it is. The events in this film takes place 1 month after the previous one, but this film was released after a gap of 7 years. One of the deaths is a homage to the Cenobite from Hellraiser, which would be the one with the freaking nails. Then again, Hellraiser is the one with the nails. And the line, why does that look so familiar? Some fans refuse to accept this film, or any other Chucky film that came after, to be in canon with the previous 3. Although the backlash for this one isn't considered as bad as its sequel, Seed of Chucky. And I have to say this to the people who don't like Seed of Chucky. Blow me! If you're a fan of Chucky, you like all of them. Not specific one, because to you it looks too fucking campy. Curse of Chucky goes back to the more straightforward horror of Child's Play in an attempt to win back the crowd, while retaining certain elements of Curse and Seed. I'll let you guys think of what I just said. If you don't figure it out, I'll explain in another episode. Bride of Chucky, first film in which Chucky is shown stabbing one of his victims, Chief Warren Kincaid, to death repeatedly. Is the first film. The first film doesn't count as he's stabbed only once, though. A voodoo doll of his voodoo instructor John. Ginny Gershon, was considered for the role of Tiffany Valentine, and was the second choice for the part after Jennifer Tilly. I see a comparison because my name is not in it. Probably because majority of them knew I was only 16. But I was able to look older. After kidnapping Jesse and Jade, Chucky says that he and Tiffany are moving on up. Actually, that's not Chucky. That's Tiffany that says it.
George Jefferson reference.
Hold on. Tiffany says the line, and believe me, I know it. The line specifically does this. Chucky says, it's a long story. Tiffany says, it sure is. Then Chucky's lines, if it were a movie, it would take 3 or 4 sequels just to do it justice. Then Tiffany says, well, these bodies are okay, but they're like apartments, we're just renting. But now, we're moving on up. That's fucking Tiffany saying it, not Chucky. After Tiffany says that line, Chucky says like George and Wheezy. IMDb.com needs to get some of their facts straight. After okay, hang on. Okay, I didn't finish it. Like George and Wheezy, referencing the Jeffersons, 1975 to 1985. Michael Myers' mask from Halloween makes an appearance in this film along with a song by Rob Zombie during the opening credits, which is interesting as Brad Dourif, the voice of Chucky, and I don't know why this damn thing repeated, or whoever the fucking runs this thing, I don't know why it's repeated, which is interesting as Brad Dourif, the voice of Chucky, would later be playing Sheriff Lee Brackett in Rob Zombie's remake, Halloween 2007, and the Rob Zombie's sequel, Halloween 2, 2009, simply because Rob Zombie's a fan of Brad Dourif, and Rob Zombie made the call who was going to be in his shit. After kidnapping Jesse and Jade, which this is the same goddamn thing, I'm going to skip that one. Here we go. The scene in which Tiffany is electrocuted in the bathtub was originally written as Maggie's death in the original Child's Play 1988. And Dom Mancini mentioned that too. When John Ritter's character is killed, his face looks like Pinhead from Hellraiser 1987. Chucky exclaims, why does that look so familiar? Andrew Robinson, who played Sergeant Botnick in Child's Play 3, 1991, was in the first Hellraiser movie as Larry Cotton. Brad Dourif actually has admitted he ad-libbed the line, why does that look so familiar? Just goes to show Brad Dourif is an actor of many talents. When Chucky decides to kill Chief Kincaid, he first picks up a ball-peen hammer, only to put it down when Tiffany remarks, predictable. In the original Child's Play 1988, Chucky kills his first victim by hitting her in the head with a ball-peen hammer, which was actually a child's toy, and sending her flying out a window. According to the DVD's director commentary, Chucky was originally supposed to say to Chief Warren, John Ritter, sorry Jack, but three's a crowd, after killing him. This joke refers to the fact that Ritter also starred as Jack in the hit TV sitcom Three's Company, 1976. But at the last minute, the director deleted that out of the script because he found it too corny. I would agree. Chucky kills Tiffany twice in this film. First, when she's a human, and then near the end when she's a doll. Now, the body count in this one is 10. That means the cop in the beginning, Damien Baylock, which is 2, Tiffany, human Tiffany for 3, let's see, Needle Nose is 4, let me just thinking here, the, obviously, Chief Kincaid was 5. The two thieves in the hotel, which makes 6 and 7. The elderly couple in the trailer would make 8 and 9, and the and the gravedigger, which would be 10. And the second time he kills Tiffany doesn't count as a kill, because he had already killed her. When the news report, Damien's Alexis Arquette, who, the late Alexis Arquette, found body, they show a less than goth nerdy portrait of him. This is an nod to shock rocker Marilyn Manson and his pre-fame alter ego Brian Warner. Marilyn Manson was even considered for the role of Damien, as it was written with him in mind. He ultimately turned it down, and they settled on Alexis Arquette. And I would say Alexis Arquette was actually good that they went with him, even though Alexis Arquette's no longer around anymore, meaning he's no longer with us. Still don't know how. The truck that runs, this has to be the wrong fucking wording. The truck that runs over and kills David is a Freightliner FLD. The truck doesn't really run him over. He just splatters. You see the truck coming and bam, he explodes.
We have video footage.
Yeah, if it was more than just a...
Yeah, it was more like... Holy shit.
The revolver Jade uses to kill Chucky at the end with, is a Taurus Model 65, which is basically a 6-shooter. When Tiffany dies, the Bride of Frankenstein is on TV. No shit. Specifically, it's the scene where the bride rejects her mate. Becomes very harsh in Scene of Chucky when Tiffany and her son Glenn conspire to kill Chucky. Let's see. I need to take a big breather. You have any news stories you want to do?
Oh, I just shut it down because it's 6 o'clock and my belly's starting to grumble.
Okay.
So
we'll continue more news stories in the next one.
Yep.
In the next episode, which would probably what do you want to say? Because you did say it's going to take at least several days just to thaw out the damn turkey.
Well, no. Don't worry about that. I can take that bird out anytime. But it's just, I have editing to do for this podcast show, and then I got to transfer it to my video laptop.
Yeah.
Create a video for it and everything, add it in, and then try to upload it to our YouTube channel, and then take this one here after it's all edited and put it up on our distribution sites of podcastings and everything else. So that's going to take me at least a couple of days.
Yeah, it does.
Because like I said, we're not doing a podcast show on Thanksgiving because we're taking a break for probably from Thanksgiving to probably next Monday, I want to say. Depends on how it goes. Because I have to make a phone call on Monday.
Yep.
After Thanksgiving. Or no.
No, you
tomorrow.
have to make a phone call tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. So a week from tomorrow, we should do another one coming back from Thanksgiving vacation.
Yeah. Probably sometime next weekend. This coming weekend.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for me, Perry Mike. And in the dark news desks of more news than I can handle in my ears, she is the Gothic Queen.
I'm Paralore. Share this with your friends and family.
Yeah. If you
with everyone, just preferably 18 and older. But it's up to the parents' discretion if the kids are younger than 18.
Exactly.
Which nowadays parents really don't care what their kids listen to as long as they're in the room.
Mm-hmm. And everything. So, if you check out our YouTube page, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bells for our episodes to be uploaded onto YouTube, so you can watch it there on every device. On our Facebook page, leave a comment and everything. And with episode 11, I'm going to try to create another video at the end of the podcast show, because you earlier told me that somebody else did the same exact thing as one idiot did.
I don't know if she did the same exact thing or something. I really don't know.
Yeah, so I'm gonna create another video and explain it and show people how it's done and what you're supposed to do and not supposed to do and everything. So this time, when we do more episodes and it's up on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, whatever social media sites that we're with, you'll at least know what to do and what not to do.
Well, remember, I'm in more paranormal groups than you are.
Yes, I know
And
that.
I keep saying you can, when you post it up, it's going to show up on my site anyway.
Yes, I know that.
You can easily sign in on mine and just send it to to the groups I'm in.
Yes, I know.
To make it easier on me.
Yes, I know. It's just a lot that I have to do than what you do. But that's going to do it for us. Bye-bye. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And let Chucky kill you on Thanksgiving.